I hope you're ready. I am ready. First up, authorities are urging villagers to avoid harming wild elephants. Yes, do not harm the elephants. There's a file picture showing a wild elephant in a forest in the northeastern region of Cambodia from the NGO called Fauna and Flora. Thank you very much for that picture. Mondulkiri Provincial Authority has urged the public not to harm herds of wild elephants. You know, they have to urge it because they've been doing it, right? Otherwise, why would you have to urge it? So the elephants have recently been spotted in the jungles and the cashew farms of 2 different districts where they have caused significant crop damage. Aha. So the deputy governor and spokesman for Mondulkiri province said that during the dry season last year, the wild elephant herds each year, the wild elephant herds typically appear near villagers' homes and the fruit tree plantations in these 2 districts. He explained that the arrival of these elephants is a regular occurrence because these areas were their traditional habitats. Okay, that's what happens when you get like urban sprawl or plantation sprawl. The elephants migrate, and this is where they always come back to. You chose to put a cashew plantation there. Quote, it confirms that this forest still hosts a diverse range of wildlife, meaning a good thing. They're not all extinct, okay? They're still wildlife. They've been spotted near the villagers' homes and behind the military police headquarters and near the lakes or ponds. However, he expressed concern about the potential dangers if the elephants enter more populated areas. He warned that if the animals feel threatened or provoked, they could become aggressive. So therefore, he appealed to the public to avoid disturbing the elephants when photographing them, because disturbing their natural behavior could lead to harm. If they are left undisturbed, wild elephants are unlikely to harm humans. So they reported that on April 10th, so a week and a half ago, a bull elephant entered a villager's cashew farm in the district. The elephant destroyed some of the farm's concrete poles, but did not harm any villagers. Afterward, the bull elephant returned to join its herd, which consisted of approximately 10 elephants, and they all retreated into the deep forest. So there you go. Elephants may be frightened by the sounds of hunters or the noise from illegal logging activities in the sanctuary. So there's the Khao Sima Wildlife Sanctuary, and if you have illegal logging activities or hunters in the sanctuary where the elephants are, they can become frightened and stampede and move along. They are also returning to places that once had thick forests but have since been converted to cashew farms. This is why you're supposed to have an environmental study before you develop for any purpose, before you develop land for any purpose. It's not just about, oh, there's this microscopic frog or something, and so now we can't do our development because we might harm something that's irrelevant or whatever. I mean, a lot of times people think that it's just, you know, why do we need to worry about the environment? Of course, something's going to be affected, but not that badly or whatever. But no, yes, you can do. I mean, did that cashew farm do an environmental study? I can 100% guarantee you, no, they did not. Somebody bought the land, said this land's available. They bought it. They put their cashew plantation there. And they had no idea that this was where this was a home for elephants, because at the moment they weren't there. They were off someplace else. Oh, but they're calling for replanting in these areas to help restore them. So that's good. There you go. Elephants. How often do you see that in the news? Okay, next up. Dun, dun, dun. Why isn't there anything showing? Ah, there we go. Just took a moment to load. Foreigner arrested for disturbance at Khmer New Year celebration. Why didn't it change for you guys? Let me close that tab. Let's see. Does it? In my Streamlab, it's still showing the old picture. Even though this one is what's being shared. Okay, give me a minute. I'm going to stop that sharing and share again to make sure you guys are seeing the right thing. Okay, there you go. Foreigner arrested for disturbance at Khmer New Year celebrations in Phnom Penh. So this just happened last week. Here's the foreigner. He's pixelated. His face is pixelated. What did he do? At about 8 o'clock at night on April 15th, and that was the second day of Khmer New Year, at the Cantabopa Hospital, there was a case, which is right near Wat Phnom. There was a case of a foreigner named Mukaba Matondo Kevin, male, 34 years old, of Congolese origin, causing a disturbance on the street. And it would have been crowded. There was like 1 million people around Wat Phnom. In this case, the police force, who were tasked with maintaining security, arrested him and sent him to the police station, but he did not cooperate. So he was temporarily detained. And that's it. Oh, come on. What, he just started like getting in a fight with somebody or something? We don't get any more details. Traveling fools. Yo, 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 yo. Glad to see you here. You just missed our story about the elephants. Villagers have been warned, do not disturb the elephants. You can go watch it on replay when we're done. Not right now. Okay. Phnom Penh police issue a warning on foreign ninjas. All right. How often do you see a news story like that? Here's a picture of one of the guys. Foreign criminals dressed in black ninja costumes responsible for a spate of crimes in Phnom Penh. So speaking via social media, the Lieutenant General stated there have been a recent rash of crimes by foreign criminals dressed in ninja outfits who specialize in breaking into houses and have stolen jewelry in the Sensok area of Phnom Penh. There he is. I wonder what country he's from. Oh, look at all that jewelry. He's Asian. The Lieutenant General said, if there is a case of these criminals breaking into or stealing from homes, please contact the police immediately. There he is without his ninja. There's all the stuff he stole laid out. You know, Cambodians, a lot of times, instead of keeping cash, because, you know, people alive today lived through a time when paper money was worth nothing, right? It's like when the Confederates lost the war, their money was worthless, right? And so they will buy jewelry and gold. You know, here I see a lot of these, you know, we might say crude. They're like crudely made, you know, not very refined, and sometimes intricate though, but you know, more homemade in a sense, from local jewelers. And they will have rings, they will have earrings, they will have necklaces, they will have bracelets that is their, you know, could be their college fund or their retirement fund. You know, they will put their money in gold instead of cash or in a bank. Ninjas. Ninja turtles. Ah! Okay, next story. Efforts underway to repatriate a Cambodian woman from China. So what happened here is this woman, I'm not sure if it was TikTok or Facebook, but she posted a video asking the Cambodian government to rescue her from China, where she had married somebody. She had married a Chinese man, went to live with him in China, ended up being abused, and now wants to come back, right? And so she was able to make her plea on social media. So yeah, 6 years. She'd been residing in China for 6 years. She has a 4-year-old son now, but there's no official marriage certificate. And authorities are investigating and working on bringing her back. And this is an all too common thing that happens. I mean, it borders on human trafficking. It's kind of like a foreign bride, a mail order bride kind of thing, where in particular, because remember in China, when they had the one child law, everybody wanted to keep the boys and they killed all the girls. So there's a real lack of females in a certain age range, you know, when those babies would have been born. So the Chinese men try to find women from someplace else. And Cambodia, being poorer than China, the women are more vulnerable. The Cambodian women are more vulnerable, as well as parents selling children, selling maybe 10, 12, 14, you know, could be teenagers, could be younger, selling them as brides. So sometimes there's a greed factor, because it's not just, oh, we're so poor, we can't feed our family, we have to sell our children, we have to sell one child in order to be able to feed the rest of them. You know, isn't this such a tragic situation? No, they're greedy. They're greedy because if they wanted to, they could give their kid to the pagoda or something like that. You know, they could find an adoption for a kid that they can't feed. There's no excuse for selling your kid. I'm sorry. It's only greed. And there are brokers that are finding young Cambodian women to, you know, for a dowry, which is basically selling and the brokers get a commission. You know, it's a sad thing. And so I will update you next week on if they rescued her or if she was faking it. But the reality is this does happen. 100%. Okay, next up, we have a fake fireman is sought after shop theft. Now, I haven't seen an update on this, if they have caught him, but he posed as a firefighter and stole items from a shop. And so the fire department is saying, no, he is not one of our officers. This happened on April 19th, so just about 4 days ago. And so they're just releasing his picture and saying, if you have any information about who he is, please contact the authorities because they want to catch him. Next up, Police deny ignoring a rape complaint in a self-killing, can I say that? Attempt case. I don't know if my chat is like frozen, but the last message I have is Traveling Fool saying turtles at 9:09. So if nobody else has made any comments, that's fine. But I'm just letting you know that if somebody's made comments since then, I'm sorry, I don't see them. Okay, so this is really strange because the wife and the husband jumped off the bridge. All right, the notorious bridge. I swear, every day there's somebody jumping. I don't get, I don't get it. They need to put the military up on this bridge or something. Anyway, so they jumped in, they survived, they were rescued. And then it came out, they said that the woman had been assaulted. Can I say that word? I mean, we all know what we're talking. I mean, are we changing the conversation just because we use a different word? We're still talking about the same thing. It's ridiculous. So she had been hurt. They went to the police, and she says that the police weren't helping. So that's when they proceeded to leave and jump off the bridge. Now, I don't know if they were both jumping, or maybe he was trying to stop her but they both fell in. I don't know. I don't understand why they would both jump. Any more pictures? No. So what the police now have come out to say, no. We were helping her. We were in the process of filing the complaint, and she left. Now, I can say from experience of having to go and file police reports, it can take like 2 hours. They've got to handwrite every word with a pen in a log, but in a book. You got a form, and then you got a book, and they got to write this, and then they got to write that, and you just sit there, and then they say something and you answer, and then you just sit there and you sit there and you sit there. It's like one of those things, like if you had prayed that morning, Lord, give me patience. And so then you go through this so that you get taught patience, because you need patience to deal with the police department and writing reports. Oh, there's okay, thanks, Traveling Fools, for putting in an emoji. So I know you guys are still there and the chat is working. So anyway, if there's any more updates, I'll let you know. I do hope that this woman does get some help and some care. She needs help, and she felt like she wasn't getting the help that she needed. Whether the police were doing their job in a timely manner or not, she was rescued. She's still alive. She needs help. I hope there's some NGO or some kind of medical services that are helping her. That's all I can say about that one. Okay, next up, the Prime Minister issues a warning over violence against forestry and fisheries law enforcement officers. So here is the Infantry Brigade number 53 destroying illegal fishing equipment in the Tonle Sap Lake area of Pursat Province just this past February. So there are crackdowns. So the government is cracking down on illegal, on forestry and fishing crimes. All right. And the Prime Minister saying, hey, if you're getting cracked down on, don't be using violence. You go peacefully, because he says that if the authorities are confronted with violence, they have the right to defend themselves. Sounds fair enough to me. So he says that the responsibilities are clearly divided, and the legality of each operation must be established. Sometimes, quote, sometimes illegal fishing equipment is used and our armed forces must act decisively. Some people try to chase away the authorities and some even attempt to run them over with vehicles. The armed forces have the right to defend themselves. We don't use violence against people, but if officers are shot at or placed in danger, they have the right to protect themselves. Yeah. He added that perpetrators, as in those criminals that are committing forestry and fishery crimes, should not attempt to shoot officers or ram them with boats, trying to drown them in rivers. Yeah, I agree with that. He stressed that the government remains committed to the strict protection of natural resources, including forest land and fisheries of the Tonle Sap Lake. So he called on all stakeholders. That's a very common English word used in Cambodia. So everybody, well, we usually just think of stakeholders like in stocks and stuff like that in a company. But here, for example, stakeholders might be NGOs that were, we mentioned in the elephant story, Fauna and Flora, which is an NGO. Maybe they're doing something. Then you might have the government Ministry of Environment, and then you might have the government armed forces, and then you might have a landowner, or if there's a sanctuary, then you might have a government administration that's operating the sanctuary. So basically, anybody who is active in the issue is a stakeholder. So all stakeholders cooperating in stamping out illegal fishing activities. And then you get the president of the Institute for Democracy in Cambodia noted that forestry and fishery crimes remain a complex and concerning issue, with some cases involving armed confrontations between authorities and offenders. He expressed support for the Prime Minister's directive, saying it would enhance the effectiveness of crackdowns on the crimes, which, if left unchecked, would further deplete the country's natural resources. But he mentions that the government should also reform the forestry and fisheries management, which includes reviewing the effectiveness of the authorities who are involved in these sectors, calling them out a little bit. Then you got this guy that is a development and research consultant, also supporting the Prime Minister, saying it's a necessary step to deter crimes. There's a but. He expressed concern over corruption among some officials who either enable or participate in the illegal activities. You got to drain the swamp, right? Isn't that how we say it in the U.S.? Got to drain the swamp. If the corrupt activities are allowed to continue, crimes won't be eradicated and law enforcement will be ineffective. Fighting crime requires serious commitment, and corrupt officials must be punished or removed. At the same time, officers who perform well should be encouraged. He also suggested that the government should collaborate with youth groups and independent organizations dedicated to natural resource protection. So there you go. If you're a criminal, don't use violence against the authorities that are busting you. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys. Everybody remember that? Okay, next up, we've got an axe man who attacked a policeman over a romantic rivalry. He's appearing in court. Look at this guy. So this is the one in the middle is the axe man. And then these are the law enforcement of whatever name they go by. Look at this guy with a cigarette in his mouth and the cell phone in his pocket. I like this dude. I don't know who he is, but I like this dude. So the man who savagely attacked a serving police officer with an axe after a romantic disagreement appeared in court. He was accused of attempted Red rum, is that the latest thing that we're supposed to say? This is the guy. During the hearing, he confessed that he had indeed committed the act of attacking the victim, who was a police officer, with an axe. Now, his defense attorney further confirmed that the client's answer given during the police interrogation, the reason for the arrest was anger because the victim had insulted his client on social media. He got insulted. Oh, I'm so insulted, so I'm going to take an axe. Yeah. All right. It's good to know the reason. Intentional violence. They're going to punish him according to the law. The victim was left with 3 wounds and 68 stitches after the attack. Dun, 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 dun. So there you go. That's it. Busted. I like this guy, the guy with the cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Axeman. Only in Cambodia. All right. And then this one, a man is arrested after a statue attack. Am I sharing this one? Let me make sure I'm sharing. It went away. Oh, I accidentally closed it before. Okay, wait. Share the screen. Okay, there we go. Man arrested after statue attack. Look at that. He fought the statue and the statue lost. He won. The man, heartbroken because his wife ran away, drank 3 cans of beer, then pulled out a KNIFE and slashed a statue of a monk. I would say that kind of probably had to be machete size in order to do that kind of damage. Let's see if they got a picture. Oh, he's been using drugs for 4 years. That's probably why the wife left him. Drank 3 cans of beer, walked home drunk, was upset because his wife had run away. So across the country, you'll have little shrines. It's calling it a monastery. A monastery is where monks live. No, there's no monks here. This is just a place where there's a statue and people can give offerings for protection or whatever, fertility, protection, wealth, whatever. And they're dotted all over the country and quite often on a roadside. So you're on a road trip and you pull over and you give some bananas to the statue and then you go on your way. Yeah. So this was at 10:30 a.m. Oh, at 10:30 a.m. the monk came to file a complaint. So usually you will have monks that manage them, that hang around and manage these, but not necessarily a monk, because they also have these people that it gets translated as a layman, but they're kind of like monk assistants. They're called achai and acha, something like that. There's 2 words. One means the people that scavenge for recycling, and the other one is these laymen. He said he was drunk and upset that his wife had run away. There you go. So he got busted. Poor guy, so young, but using drugs for 4 years. Yeah, doesn't look good. Imagine axe attacks happen. Imagine axe attacks every time someone on YouTube gets their feelings hurt. Exactly, traveling fools. People don't have thick skins anymore. Now, I'm not saying that bullying is a good thing, but we all kind of had to have thick skin growing up as Gen Xers, for sure. So next up, classrooms are damaged after a fire at an international school in Phnom Penh. So this is very rare, and I've not read the story, so I want to see the story. Here's a picture of the damage at the school. Oh, well, no, we don't want the ad. There we go. 2 classrooms were damaged. The Ford Asia Pacific International School. That doesn't sound like a very big one. Oh, Troy Chamar. What day was this? Today? Did it happen yesterday? Oh, yeah, it says yesterday. I smelled the smoke. I smelled fire. But, sometimes people are burning trash or something. But because, fires are sensitive, they're not sensitive as in feelings, but they're, when there's a fire, it's a very sensitive situation because you don't want it spread, right? So I go out on my patio. I look one direction. I go and I look the other direction. And then I look the other direction, and I'm trying to smell where the smoke is coming from. Betcha, this is it, right on National Road 6. I don't know where Kien Kling. I'm gonna have to look at it. Let's put this. Let's come to Google Maps. Phnom Penh. Wait. No, not that. Ford. Asia. Oh, Fret Fort. Permanently closed. Okay, so yeah. What? Oh, here. Is that it? It's National Road 6. Let me put the name of this village in and see. Oh, there's a pagoda. Where's the pagoda? The pagoda's right there. Okay, so yeah. So if this is the area, yeah, and I live in this area, so definitely smelling that. Let's see. According to information from the scene, the fire was seen blazing from the ceiling of the classroom with smoke billowing out. Oh, look, there's a picture of the outside of the school. Okay, yeah. I know, yes. The staff grabbed fire extinguishers. Good. They called the fire truck. They sent 6 vehicles to intervene. There's the fire trucks, or as we often say, fire engines. I was just telling because my tutoring class today, they all had to get up and talk about pictures they had sent me over there of Khmer New Year. And one of them had a picture of the fire trucks being used to squirt water on all the crowds to cool them off. And I told him, I said, it's kind of interesting because not only can they be called a fire truck, they can be called a fire engine. And I said, but a fire truck is the only vehicle in English that we use the word engine to mean the truck, because an engine is usually the motor, which Cambodians called the machine. It took me a while to figure that one out, but I finally did. And so now I remember it. They don't say the motor of the car or the engine of the car. They say the machine of the car, but I don't know, maybe they're starting to learn. But I said, you got that kind of engine, it could be a solar powered engine or an electric engine or a gas engine, a steam engine, but a fire engine isn't making fire, or is not making electricity either, because the word in Khmer for fire and for electricity and for light bulbs is all the same word, plung. And so I said it's fire engine is a truck, is a fire truck. That was our lesson for today. Two rooms, or they say it was an electrical short circuit from the air conditioner. Wow. 9:20 a.m. It was put out. There you go. Next up, we have a foreigner arrested after beating and stealing phone from taxi driver. So here's our picture. So was it a car taxi driver? Police have arrested a foreign national who beat and stole a phone from the driver of his taxi. 1:40 a.m. I'm telling you, nothing good happens here. Like after 10 p.m., you don't want to be out at night. According to the source, the taxi driver said that before the incident, he had taken a Chinese man from one area of town, Phnom Penh, Russian market area. The man was sleeping, and when the taxi reached the destination, the taxi driver woke up the passenger. In response, the passenger attacked the taxi driver, taking his phone in the confrontation. So I see one of two things could have been happening. Oh, and Choi Chamvar again. That's a long ride to go from Russian market to Choi Chamvar. So, oh, I know right where that is. That's right behind where I live. That's the Morgan residence. So either he was faking it, he was faking being asleep because he intended on, beating the guy and stealing his phone from the beginning, or having been a waitress at 24-hour restaurants like Denny's and Perco's, I know that, there was a time that someone who was drunk, they came in to get coffee. It's like 2, 3 a.m. because I'm working the graveyard shift. And so your wife still calls the motor the machine as well. Oh my gosh, Traveling Fools, that's so funny. That's the first time I've heard of an American doing that. So you got someone who's been drinking. They stumble in to the coffee shop, the 24-hour coffee shop. It's 2, 3 o'clock a.m. The bars have closed. They're getting some coffee, or maybe they're eating something too. And they fall asleep at the table. Well, like there used to be this one guy that was a regular, and he was a kind man, and just let him sleep it off. It's no big deal. But then management, I guess maybe some customers complained, there's like this guy passed out drunk, and they're not removing him or something. And so they just made it a rule that we had to deal with it. And we had to get rid of people. I mean, we had to make them leave. And I don't know if it was like there was someone who was a security guard or a police officer who was in getting coffee. And I'm like, hey, management tells us we have to get rid, have to make these people move. Can you help me? Kind of thing, or something like that. And they told me, you never wake up a sleeping drunk, because they could wake up violent, even if it's not in their nature to be violent, they can wake up violent. If you startle them, because basically you're startling them as you're trying to wake them up, and they can go all crazy and violent. And so we had to call, or maybe it was just another customer that was a guy or something. I said, okay, can you help me? And he said, no, you need to call the police. And so I had to call the police. But I remember learning that, and I didn't know that before. So it could be a case of it's 1:40 a.m. The guy could be drunk. He could be passed out. The taxi driver goes to wake him up to get out, and he just has a violent attack. And in the process, grabs the guy's phone. She's not American. Okay. Well, that explains that. All right. Let me see. Oh God, it attacked him. They came down to intervene, and he's been taken by the police. See, it doesn't sound like he even ran away. It just says he took his phone. But if this is the picture and that's the taxi driver, and you've got the driver and the drunk guy, they're still there. Everybody's right there, you know. Because I think if he was faking being asleep with the intention of stealing the phone, and of course he hit the guy to steal the phone, he would have ran. So I think it might have just been, yeah, this is a case of don't wake up asleep and drunk. Isn't there a saying about don't wake up a sleeping, or let sleeping dogs lie? Same principle. Oh, that's it. That's it. Got through them all. I could hit national again and see if there's anything new. 25 minutes ago, 35 minutes ago. No, that's just all just regular news. And see if there's the foreigner arrested that we just saw. Okay, that's it. So I hope you found this entertaining, you know, and never forget that love transcends time and space. So wherever and whenever you're watching this, I love you. Yay, I do. My love to you. And tomorrow we'll do some kind of trivia, maybe movie trivia, maybe different. I don't know. Karen Reed case is going on. Lori Vallow Daybell case, jury came back with a guilty verdict. So that's done. Pope died. Charles Schwab. Klaus Schwab stepped down from the World Economic Forum. You know, lots of exciting stuff going on. Karen Reed case is what I'm watching now. In fact, as soon as we're done, I'll go and jump back into it. It's going to be a long one. Is the jury gonna get it? If you don't know that case, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I'll do a refresher, you know, stream about it. So same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow. If you're available, I hope that you join me, and we'll have fun, whatever we do. Until then, catch you later.